So in order to add the daily notes, which is the equivalent of daily log in bullet journal, so we should do a couple of steps in order to add the daily notes, which I really recommend you to do that because it is very useful. And also we are going to add the calendar. So let's do it. So first of all, I want to create a folder. So I create a folder. I want to call it 01 journal, 01 journal. And maybe you ask why 01 journal? I will talk about it in another video, maybe in future videos, about a system called Zettelkasten. But for now, let's suppose that I name it 01-journal. And I open it, and inside this folder, I right click on this folder, and I want to add another folder called, let's call it, for example, daily notes. So as you can see, inside this 01-journal folder, we have another folder called daily, which we are going to store the daily notes in this folder. And again, before going further, let's rename this folder as well, because of that Zettelkasten method, which I'm going to talk about in future videos. But if you remember in previous videos in this playlist, we have named this folder collections, but I want to change the name of this folder to 04-collections. And once again, I will talk about the Zettelkasten in future videos. But it is very obvious that these names are not important. They are totally arbitrary. You can choose whatever name you want for these folders and files. But I choose these specific names because of that Zettelkasten method, which I will talk about it in future videos. But you can name whatever name you want. You can choose whatever name you want for these folders. It is not important. And after creating the daily folder, let's go to settings. And in the left side, you can see core plugins. And core plugins means the plugins that Obsidian itself has created. And these are the plugins that they have created. So in the core plugins, you can see there is something called daily notes. So I click on it. So first of all, you should specify the location of that daily folder. The folder which you want to store your daily notes in that folder. So in my example, in my vault, it is 01 journal, and as you can see, it is daily 01 journal, and inside that we have another folder called daily. So I click on it. That's it. And I want to check this one as well. So I want to enable this, which basically says open daily note on startup. And this basically means that it is going to automatically open the daily note of today on a startup. When I say on a startup, I mean whenever you open the Obsidian app. And if there isn't any note for today, it is going to create one. By the way, I should mention this, that if you, for example, rename these folders, it is very obvious that you should go to these settings and change these names as well. For example, if you rename these folders to something else, then you should go here and change these locations as well, because you have changed those names. So that's it. But also I want to add another community plugins called calendar. So I go to this section. So if you read this, it says that there might be some potential security issues with some plugins. But in my opinion, if you install the well-known and famous plugins, that would be not very serious. But it's your choice. If you don't want to turn on community plugins, then that's your choice. But I want to turn on community plugins, so I click on it. And now here I click on this community plugins, browse, and you can see that these are the plugins which you can install, and these are sorted by the number of install by default. So as you can see, calendar is one of the most installed plugins in Obsidian. So I click on it and I click on install, and you can see it is installing the plugin. And you can see it has successfully installed the plugin, so I want to enable it. That's it. You can see it has been enabled, so I close this, and once again I close this. So now let's open this folder, and as you can see, there isn't any file inside this folder. There isn't any daily note inside this folder. But now let's close Obsidian in order to see that option that we have enabled, showing the daily note on a startup. So I want to close the Obsidian in order to show that option. So let's close Obsidian. And once again, let's open Obsidian. So as you can see, it automatically opens a daily note, which is for today. And if I click on this and if I open it, you can see that this file is located in the daily folder. So as you can see, it shows the daily note on a startup. I mean, when you open the Obsidian. And as you can see, there wasn't any daily note in that folder, but once I have opened the Obsidian, it has created one for today. But what about the calendar which we have installed? So in order to see the calendar, you should click on this. By the way, for example, if you click on this, you can see it closes the left panel of Obsidian. And if you click on it again, you can see the left panel as well. It's like a toggle button. If you click on it, it closes. If you click on it again, it opens it. So that's it. And you can see there is a toggle button here as well in order to expand and close the right panel as well. So now, as you can see, this is the calendar. So let's make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. So as you can see, this is the calendar. So if I click on it, you can see that this is the calendar. And as you can see, this shows the current date, I mean today, the date of today. And maybe you ask, what are these dots? So first of all, it is very obvious that, for example, you don't have any daily notes for other dates, so there isn't any dots in those dates, in those days. That's it. But what is the philosophy of this one dot? So basically, if you go to settings, and here, if you go to community plugins, and if you scroll down, you can see I have installed these plugins by the time of recording, and I'm going to install other plugins as we go through this course. So if I click on settings for the calendar plugin, you can see it says the words per dot is 250. It means that, let's close this. It means that if you type, for example, 250 words, then it is going to have one dot. But for example, if you type 251 words, that is going to have two dots, and etc. So every 250 words, it is going to add another dot, but it is not going to have, for example, 10 dots. I think the maximum number of dots is 4, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't remember it, but I think it is 4 or 5. I don't know. I don't remember, but I think it was 4 dots. The maximum number of dots, I think it was 4. So as you can see, we don't have any word in this page, but it is less than 250 words, so it should have one dot. But as you can see, we don't have any word inside this, but it is less than or equal to 250 words, so it should have one dot. And if you want to change that number, you can do it, and you can change it in the settings. But there is a very cool thing about this calendar, and you can use it for reminders. For example, suppose that in November 30 of 2023, for example, it is the birthday of your friend. So you can click on it, and you can see it says currently there isn't any daily note for this date. Do you want to create one? Yes, of course, I want to create it. So let's press on this, create. And you can see it has created another daily note. And for example, in the beginning of this file, I want to, for example, add some reminders. So for example, this is David's birthday. That's it. And I can, for example, divide this note from the other sections of the page using a horizontal line. So in order to do so, first of all, you should press enter, and then you should type 3 dashes and then press enter. And you can see we have a horizontal line. But remember that this empty line, I mean this enter that we have entered is important, because for example, if you delete this, you can see it is not working. So you should press enter, and you should have an empty line here in order to put this horizontal line. But actually this was for demonstration purposes, so let's delete this daily note. So let's delete it. And you can see this is the current daily note. Now you can continue and watch the next tutorial of this playlist by clicking on the video which is on the left side of the screen.